Meeting Luca was among the luckiest moments of my life. I have just a few minutes to tell you some quick stories of Luca and his impact. Over 30 years ago, I was fortunate to be introduced to Luca by a friend, Dave Gilbert. I made an appointment to meet with Luca and showed up at the scheduled time. I very briefly described my history, being a Peace Corps volunteer in Kenya, and Luca began telling me about his interest in the genetics of peoples of Africa. Because I had noticed the physical, cultural, and linguistic diversity of peoples of Kenya, the idea of examining that diversity within a framework of genetic variation sounded thrilling to me. When Luca offered me a position as a research assistant, he showed me the office where I would work. As he showed me the office, he mentioned that although I would have the office to myself much of the time, I would often be sharing it with visitors. Little did I know then how much I would enjoy sharing that office with wonderful people such as Alberto Piazza and Jaume Bertrand-Petit. I quickly learned that a major benefit of working with Luca was meeting all the people with whom he collaborated. My first day of work, Luca sat down with me in that office and started teaching me the basics of population and statistical genetics. He defined the words allele and genotype and introduced me to principal component analysis. Having spent 3 months in Florence, I was fortunate to understand a little Italian for those moments when Luca would suddenly switch into speaking only Italian. For that reason, I was also ready to enjoy an espresso after lunch, a Cavallo lab ritual that brought lab members and visitors together many an afternoon. Quickly learned that Luca preferred to think big and across disciplines. He told us stories of debating questions of race and IQ with William Shockley and of visiting the pygmies in Central Africa. I remember the day Luca pulled out a piece of paper with the tree based on classical genetic markers and proceeded to draw the language-based tree lined up with it. This was the basis for the first paper I worked on with him, his paper number 402, published in 1988. The criticism of that paper, my first paper to be involved in, was much longer than our original paper and was very disturbing to both Luca and me. When I joined Luca's lab, the History and Geography of Human Genes book was in progress. Today that book is a reference for employees at 23andMe where I work, who write up explanations of the genetic results that we provide to customers. We have at least 3 copies of the book in our company's office, plus several of Luca's other books, as you can see on the shelves here, just here. Luca's impact on 23andMe has been both direct through his books and indirect through people like me who, like me, learned from Luca and continue to transmit his values and knowledge forward. Keep in mind that 23andMe has millions of customers. We can start moving on. Many of whom learn a little bit about human genetics and human history through our service, and some of that is coming indirectly from Luca. My core responsibilities, we're here, at the company include expanding the diversity of our genetic database through recruitment activities such as our Global Genetics Project. That may sound a little bit familiar. The rapidly growing database has enabled us to explore the impact of the transatlantic slave trade on the genetics of the Americas. In the image below, see how West African ancestry is found at different proportions across regions and islands of the Americas. I believe Luca would have loved to explore this database, looking into questions such as